無傷とはね。万事の挽回。加点胸骨、唐松真珠。残機の仕留め、断魚の淵。僕を殺せると。これにて大詰め、締めの段。
Alright boys, gather round, cause we're about to talk about some of the most insane, most disrespectful, and straight up legendary bankai and fights in Bleach history. I'm telling you, these moments were so raw that if you watched them late at night, you probably sat up in your chair like, did that really just happen? Let's dive in.
Bankai, Zanka no touch. 果たして同じか。だが炎は出ていない。先か。
Yamamoto versus Yuach. Yamamoto came out like the god of fire himself. His bankai, Zanka no Tachi, literally evaporated the moisture in the air. The dude was turning Soul Society into a desert just by existing. And even Yuach was like, hold up, this old man's different. You could feel the disrespect in every strike. Like, Yamamoto wasn't fighting an enemy, he was punishing somebody's soul. This was the kind of moment where you sit back and say, nah, Bleach peaked right here.
ないのだ。逃げてもよいぞ。さて。通じるぞ。かか10万億死だ。死神の風上にも置けぬな。では働いとらんようじゃな。苦しかろう。たどり着くことすらできぬとは。彼らはすべてお主が殺した死には足りぬと知れ。天地怪人。見捨てられるべき弱者見つけ。
ださんがろんだ。影を見たかい。怖くて仕方がなかったことを。
Kiraku's bankai versus Lila Baro. Shunsui is normally that chill uncle energy, laid back, drinking sake, telling stories. But when he pulled out his bankai, everything flipped. Katen Kyokotsu Karamatsu Shinju is like the scariest theater play ever. First act, you and your opponent share the same wounds. Second act, you're drowning. Third act, you're hit with an unstoppable finishing move. The whole vibe went from colorful Bleach fight to a black and white horror show in seconds. Lile Baro, who thought he was untouchable, suddenly realized, oh, wait, I'm in the wrong anime.
Bankai, Aten Kyokotsu, Karamatsu Shinju. 相手の体についた傷は、さて、2段目の面から床につき、残機の仕留め。あれよあれよと3段目。バカだ。せめてこの手で切って捨てよう。挽回。金色やしそぎ地蔵。
Mayuri's modified bankai. Alright, you know Mayuri doesn't just use a bankai, he cooks one in the lab, sprinkles in some poison, adds a dash of nightmare fuel, and then releases it on the battlefield. His modified Konjiki Ashisogi Jizo is basically a giant baby with syringes and creepy vibes. Every time Mayuri pulls out his bankai, you're not just scared for his opponent, you're scared for yourself sitting on the couch. This man fights like he's auditioning for a horror anime.
全身飲み込まれる前に 術を。
吠えろ。続くか。
Renji versus Uryu. Low-key an underrated clash. Renji came in wild with his bankai, but Uryu was just standing there, shooting arrows like he was farming XP. The crazy part? Uryu had that cool-headed aura, and Renji's like the loud, passionate dude. Their fight was basically chaos versus precision. And even though it doesn't get talked about as much, it showed how deep the Quincy versus Shinigami beef really went.
You're probably thinking I should surrender. Bankai. Sakashima Yokoshima. Fukushima Happo Fusari. I can't.
Shinji's bankai, but Sakashima Yokoshima Hapafusagari is busted. Imagine trapping everyone in range and forcing them to fight until they all drop. Friendly fire! Oh yeah, that's on. Allies and enemies swinging at each other like they forgot what side they're on. Only Shinji would have a bankai this chaotic. Dude fights like a walking Uno reverse card.
Dramatic, don't you think?
Maybe so. I got this, Ajin. You can go. What? It's my Zanpakuto. It's down and left is right. To have my words come out backwards too. Very easily. I hope you'll forgive me. You should call your friends for help.
I'm going to wipe that stupid grin off.
Bankai! Tekken Tatsukaze!
Kensei's bankai versus Stern Ritter. Kensei is always that underrated guy, but when he dropped Tekken Tachikaze, he showed us pure hands. Like bro didn't even need fancy pedals or flames, he just put raw force into his fists. His opponent probably thought he signed up for a sword fight, but nah, Kensei turned it into a UFC main event.
Bankai 屋上天元妙断崖上へ
Komamura's bankai versus Bambietta. My guy Komamura went all in. Kokujo Tengen Myoho is basically a giant samurai Gundam, swinging a sword the size of a building. And against Bambietta's explosives, it was just clash after clash of absolute destruction. Komamura fights with that loyal dog energy. Literally, this man put his pride and his body on the line.
何よそれ。挽回の中身もワンちゃんじゃないなんて。
断崖上映はその鎧を脱ぎ捨て力爆弾となり砕け散ることが恐ろしいのは天元明王は鎧こそが命
持ち主のあんたはそうじゃないです。
わしが生き絶えることはない。
なんなのあんた命捨ててんの。戦いで
命をかけぬ理由などあるものか。
てめえの目なら信じられるだろ。
だがこの挽 bankai! Bankai!
In Ichigo versus Byakuya. Man, this one's for the history books. The Soul Society arc peaked right here. Ichigo finally mastered Bankai, Tensa Zangetsu, and pulled up with that all-black fit, like he was cosplaying as the drip god himself. Byakuya was flexing his Senbonzakura Kageyoshi, pedals everywhere, looking majestic, and Ichigo just blitzed through it like pedals. Nah, bro. I eat those for breakfast. The respect between them at the end. This fight was Bleach at its purest hype.
動かねえ。
黒崎。
チッ。言ってただろ。
何？
名前なんか。ねえよ。消えるんだ。
集計。通してもらおうか。喉が潰れても知らんぞ。ここまで間に押し。あと1000里戻って。
Ichibei versus Yuach. This was like watching a beast fight another beast. Ichibei pulling out his powers, naming, renaming, stripping away abilities. Pure madness. When he used Shinuchi, the brush got so big, it looked like he was about to repaint the universe. And Yuach, he's just chilling like, nice try, but I'm built different. It was a clash of titans that had everyone questioning reality itself.
Auswählen! 仲間の力、時は満ちた。さあ、それが霊王であろう。行こう。人の優しさのわからんや。やっとランカン。ブルートベネアーハー。バチオは自問寺。今までと同じ。その歯では私は倒せんで。その剣の名を、この剣には名がないという一文字に塗りつぶされたもの。あらば貴様の力も奪って。アルタール。死神もクイーンシーも。名をつけてやろう。された者に新たな名を刻む。ここまでじゃ。今まで殺した死神たち。むしゃらば。
牽制が挽回金シャラブトウだ
Rose's Bankai versus Sternritter. Rose with Kinshara Butodan was like watching a rock concert turned deadly. Music notes became weapons, and his fight felt like a deadly performance piece. Rose fights like he's headlining a festival, but the audience dies if they don't vibe hard enough.
本日第一の演目いいね
バカな
踏み鳴らせその音楽さあ最後は君耳を塞いで潰したのか
挽回
Tosen's Bankai versus Kenpachi. Suzumushi Tsushiki Enma Korogi. The one where Tosen traps Kenpachi in total darkness. No sight, no sound, no spiritual pressure. Just despair. Most people would fold instantly. But Kenpachi, he just laughed. He was like, darkness? Cool, I'll just swing harder until I hit something. Only Kenpachi could turn a horror movie Bankai into a warm-up session.
なるほど今のは当たったな待てよまだ終わらない いよ。
千本桜はどこ？
爪の白石
恐怖が通じん。
Rukia versus S0. Now this was Rukia's moment. She pulled out Haka no Togame, and suddenly the battlefield turned into an ice sculpture exhibit. As Nod, who was terrifying with his fear powers, suddenly froze into a statue mid-scream. Rukia went from little sister vibes to absolute queen in one bankai. Man, if this scene didn't give you chills, you weren't watching Bleach correctly.
これはしかりただの千本桜。ルキア強くなったな。
挽回ハッカの咎め。
大行な舞台じゃねえか、おい。
今日は随分と喋るのですね。
Unohana's Bankai versus Kenpachi. Now this fight, this was personal. Unohana pulled out Minazuki, and suddenly the battlefield turned into a pool of blood. Not metaphorical blood, literal rivers of red. She was slicing, stabbing, healing Kenpachi, and then stabbing him again. Like, you ain't dying yet, we're training. This was less of a fight, and more like the world's deadliest boot camp. Imagine being forced to level up while drowning in blood. Kenpachi had no choice but to come out a demon after this. That's tough love on another level.
稲月
受けていく。違う。なぜだ。眠っていたのか。俺が俺は戦い。
ええ、気づいていましたよ。に戦いを楽しむため、一つの時代にケンパーチは一人ならず、私のさようなら、私を喜ばせた人よ。
素直に剣を引けばよいもの。まだ私にも挽回があるということを。挽回。
Byakuya versus Renji. The rematch we didn't know we needed. Renji pulled up with his improved Su Zabimaru, and Byakuya's like, cute, here's my upgraded Cherry Blossom Death Storm. Watching the two flex their growth and pride was like a big brother versus little brother fight. Except both of them had beast tier weapons.
千本桜金吉。格だ。遠行即月。怒るがいい。まだ息があったか。
まだだ。
And there you have it. Some of the craziest, most jaw-dropping bankai and fights in Bleach. Each one had its own vibe. Some terrifying, some hype, some straight-up disrespectful. That's the magic of Bleach. Every fight feels like an event. So tell me, what's your favorite bankai moment?